Hello, my juicy co-creators. Lilu here at the beautiful Common Ground Kauai on this magnificent island. And this is my very last interview, and a very important one, I feel, because we're going to talk about education. And there are some things that you feel like, Aakara, are changing, and you're working together with Chris and co-creating something. You're pioneering, so you're really going with the flow. Tell us about your experience in education and what you have noticed while you were a teacher.
So I've been a teacher for about 13 years in a variety of different settings. The biggest setting that taught me was I was working in an inner city public school in North Carolina, and the children were pretty emotionally unstable because their home life was pretty tragic and somewhat harmful. So I really learned that I needed to start working more on an emotional level with children. And instead of it being that I relate to their home life and try to accommodate or fix that, how do I work one-on-one with kids to support them as an emotional being and try to be like strong and decrease the stress and anxiety and the worry that kids have. So that was a big lesson for me probably 5 years ago. And I started shifting my education more to focus on a broader aspect of teaching rather than subject matter or lesson plan. I based my lesson plans more on how the kids were showing up that day, if they could handle it, if they could be present, if they could start to make reflections back to what I was teaching them and make small improvements as an emotional being and an emotional body, and then learning more about them being spiritual beings and spiritual bodies too.
And so that's where you met Chris, because it's I see you working with his kids right now, and I know Chris is so, you know, he loves education, and he wants to create, I think, an educational center here, something different after school, like additionally to regular school. Is that right?
So I met Chris this summer, and I had been teaching a summer school program here on a property in Kilauea, and I proposed to him to do an after-school program here at Common Ground for the community. This was just around the time that his children were having a transition with their school, where it was shifting out of being a school system functioning for this year, and he was looking into creating a homeschool program for his children. So he partnered with myself and one other woman to have a curriculum and extracurriculum based program. So I'm in charge of the extracurriculum program, and we do meet in the afternoons, but it's not considered an after school program. It's really curriculum based, and it's based on sustainability and passionate learning. And so I have an 8-month program that I've designed to bring all aspects of sustainability into the education for these children, but have it be brought in field trips, a lot of art programming, pretty much 100% outdoor classroom, where we bring a little marker board with us and we sit outside on the grass or under, you know, a covering. We sit in the garden. We go on field trips. We do a lot more activity than just sitting at a computer writing or typing.
So then how do you interact with them? Are they distracted, or do you find them more captivated? I mean, how does this change? How does this change?
So about 50% of my focus as an educator with these children is kind of behind the scenes in my mind. How are they showing up? Are they tired that day? Are they hungry? How are they feeling? Did they have something happen in their life that caused a little bit of some emotional upset? And then I tailor my curriculum to meet them, as opposed to me pushing on them what I think is best in that day. Like, I have some lesson plans and I show up. Those lesson plans aren't always going to be the highest and best for the children. So my focus is to have it be the highest and best for them in all moments. I also allow them to be my educator. You know, if they're working on a project that I think is going to be 30 minutes and it takes them 3 hours, you know, I go with the flow with that. Instead of pushing them to my model, I allow them to teach me into what's the best. And like, we're kind of a unit, a family unit. And it allows for more safety. They feel more comfortable to really open up. Therefore, they're more comfortable in learning, because they're not afraid. They don't have intimidations. Bless you. They don't have limitations over, fears if I can't read or write at a certain level. If there's this softness that's componing the material, then they're just really gentle and loving. And then they bring that gentle and lovingness into their home life, into their relationships with friends. They excel more in school because they go into school with more of a loving and gentle aspect. So it's like, I'm looking at it a lot from behind the scenes, where if someone were to come in on the outside, they might not know that on a daily basis I'm modifying my program just to meet the kids where they're at in that moment.
Yeah, it's amazing what it can change once we come from love instead of fear, because it seems like the whole schooling system has been based on a lot of fears, huh?
Yeah, it is. It's being based on... it seems to be like a lot of anxiety in the schools, and models that aren't really supportive of children and children growing in a loving manner so they can excel. So this is kind of going at it from a different way.
Yeah.
And it works a lot higher. It's a lot higher vibrational education system. We're piloting this program here at Common Ground, and right now we have there's 3 children enrolled in the morning and 2 in the afternoon, and we are hoping to expand that to have several more children in both programs. And we'll go through the school year. We run it through the calendar school year, and it's really based on having as much fun in the education program as we can, with getting them the same material that they would in a traditional school, but having it be so much more expansive so that they can really foster and grow in who they are and shine through their skill set and really expand. Each student that I have right now is very different in their learning. So I work with them individually and together to meet their needs, and it's just so brilliant.
Yeah. So you focus more on their skills and where they're good at and how they're enjoying themselves rather than their weakness, or do you still look at their challenged side and also maybe probably in a loving way, which changes it all?
It's actually, I meet them right in the middle, 50% each way, because I don't want to focus so much on their strengths always. Yeah. I want to go into what would be considered their weaknesses and actually have them get comfortable with it. You know, why is it that they might feel awkward when such and such happens, or why is it that they're not satisfied with their work? Yeah. That actually is just as important, because there's a deeper meaning there, there's a deeper understanding, and that's a block that I'm hoping to get through with them so they can succeed in all subjects and with confidence and self-esteem. And this kind of education allows for that safety again with them to go into their weakness with me and not feel ashamed or scared or afraid that something's going to happen. And so they're open. It's really, really sweet.
Yeah, you probably see kids that totally behave differently with you than with their parents. I mean, there must be a whole period of transition. Sometimes even kids that appear arrogant or different, and then all of a sudden they start softening up and showing their real side.
Yeah, it's true. I definitely have been, asked to be an educator here on the planet. I've done it for so much of my adult life, and I've worked with probably close to 5,000 children in all the different settings and environments all over the world that I've taught in. And I see that no matter what child I meet, if I've met them before or haven't met them, I'm completely present with them that day. It doesn't matter how much I know about them. It just matters how they're doing that day and how I'm doing that day and how we show up in each other's lives. So I definitely learn a lot on a daily basis, because I'm not taking a model that's been, programmed day after day after day after day. I'm showing up present, and they're showing up present, because that's what children do. They show up very present and alert. And they let me know how much energy and stamina they have that day. And I let them know what my goals and accomplishments are, and we meet somewhere in the middle. Nice. But definitely I get to work with kids differently than parents. Yeah. And I come from a non-judgmental place. I don't have any attachment to the outcome. I just know that I'm trying to teach them something of high value and importance. And I would hope that it can be in a fun, loving way, and that they would meet me halfway and accomplish those assignments and also have some joy and fun in it too. So it's a freeing experience to not be their moms, but to be their teacher, guide, guardian.
No, it's beautiful, that unconditionality, and that's really, I feel, where we all need to head ideally, and just being detached from the results. So you must set some intentions at the beginning of each day, working with them, or what is it most of the time? How do you capture that? Do you say it out loud, or do you tell them even?
What I do is, and I've started to do this for the last several years, is I do a check-in. When I see the kids first thing, as soon as I meet with them, no matter what kind of program I'm teaching, I do a check-in. How are you doing? I ask them simple questions. How are you doing today? How are you feeling? What'd you do last night? And they get to share with me experiences about their outside of school setting that are really important. Like, I lost my tooth, or I had this sporting activity and it was really successful. And those are the pieces of information that help me gauge where they are in the moment, or something happened in my family and I'm really sad. So I take that information and then I model it for the next couple hours. And I do that each time I see a child, so that I'm not putting any projections over how they're going to act or behave. And I especially try not to judge them in any moment. I try to just be really present with who they are or what their skill set is in that moment. So if one student is excelling at one thing, I'm not going to project into the future that they're going to continue excelling at that. I'm going to stay really alert and present with them.
That's really beautiful. I'm really inspired by what's possible if we bring this on a larger scale, huh?
Yeah. I was just realizing that one of the experience that I shared with at the beginning, I was in a public school. I was the art teacher. I was teaching to 500 children a week, and I was going between 2 different school settings, so it's 250 in each school. So it was a really grand learning experience for me to work with that many students. And when I was teaching art to them, and I was noticing they weren't really able to be focused because they were so distracted on their home life, I noticed that I needed to get more to the core of how to bring education into children in a school setting, not focus just on my agenda, like I said. So I've studied as an environmental educator, and I've done that in art education. So I've learned to combine the two, where I teach people about their outside physical environment, their home life, family life, which is in an environment, their environment with their connection to themselves, and then we draw in the components of art and creativity, so they're using both their left and right side of their brain. And then we do also things like writing and mathematical configurations, so it's still very balanced, but it allows for this really expansive experience where it's not so out there, it's just really living life on life's terms, and bringing reality and truth into a classroom setting. So over the years, what my study has been is to really tailor the needs of the education towards what kids really need and want. And what I noticed is, how can I have them be less intimidated, less afraid, more trusting, and more loving. Those are the components. And that's how they can therefore be all that to the outside world. They can be less intimidated to the environment, respect the environment more, make art and be more confident in producing something outside of themselves when they don't have that fear inside, and then shine more their gifts and skills for the planet and for the world. So it's been this like interior exterior balance going back and forth, and it's just been superb.
Tell us about the vision that you have, or what you see for the future.
Well, this has been a really great experience for me working here at Common Ground, to have a very small school-based setting where it would be considered similar to a homeschool group. So I think it's very important to have that small setting where it's more one-on-one, whether it's parent or teacher or aide, that are tuned in to the children's needs, and the needs of the children are tuned into the parents or the aide, so that it's more like a co-creative experience. So kind of breaking down the boundaries of, I'm a teacher, this is what I say, this is what you do, you have to follow my rules, and just eliminating that and having it be there's no boundaries, there's a softness, there's an evolutionary aspect of how to teach each other, and be very open to curriculum that is inspiring, is creative, and expansive for the needs of the world today, rather than based on models that have not really been all that supportive in an education system.
I love how you can actually, working on a smaller structure is probably catapulting to create a bigger one. You know, we need to test new models now, and that's what's exciting. It's sometimes you don't know where you're heading. It's not very, it can be sometimes unsettling because it's not exactly clear, but you feel, you know, this is right, this is the energy, and we're moving forward step by step, all of us together with the kids, the parents, learning.
And what's great about this setting that we're trying here at Common Ground is that they do have a curriculum-based teacher in the mornings who works, it's an online program that's based for the state, and so they're getting their standards for math and English and science and reading, and it's very supportive so that they still meet the standardized testing, but then they get this other component built in that's you know, not just running around on a tar playground or you know, playing soccer or track, or just different things that are really formed. So it's important to have both, and this is a model that we're trying out, and it's so far seems to be very successful. The kids are really, really enjoying it. They're both flourishing. They're full of light and excitement. Myself and the other teacher are very happy with the program, and this facility here is a great outdoor and indoor classroom environment, so this could be a great location for a larger scale school.
Wonderful. Well, I'm super thrilled to share that with the world, and I'm sure you'll receive some emails and some suggestions and some notes and some messages. And this is I love how Kauai is just pioneering some new things, and I know this is happening in other pockets of the world. And if we all come together, something new is possible. Yeah. So thank you for this beautiful time, Aakara. I'm glad that we got to meet and do this as the rain is starting to pour. Bye, my beautiful co-creators. We love you.
Blessing.